What's up, guys? So, in this video, I want to talk about how the world balance in One Piece seems to work, in my opinion. For argument's sake, we will just use the original admirals and 7 Shishibukai. In chapter 432, we are told by Garp that the world consists of 3 great powers: the Yonko, Navy, and the Shishibukai. This is also further confirmed in the data book Green Secret Pieces, where Oda literally tells us Yonko equals Navy HQ plus Shishibukai. But what does this mean exactly? Because the word Yonko at face value can be mistaken and interpreted in more ways than one. I think most people believe this means one Emperor crew is equal to the entire Navy plus Shishibukai. Well, we have to ask ourselves, does this notion work? I assume that the people that believe one Emperor crew is equal to the entire Navy plus Shishibukai forces also have to believe that the admirals are equal to commanders. Otherwise, the Navy combat wise would stomp one Yonko crew if admirals are much stronger than commanders. So we will go with this interpretation to see if it works. So I'm assuming these people also believe the fleet admiral is about equal to the Emperor himself, and the admirals are about equal to the top 3 Yonko commanders. Now, of course, the Navy and Emperor crew has other fairly strong proponents like lesser commanding officers such as vice admirals or captains of the Emperor's fleet. So, for argument's sake, we will just match them up against each other, and also fodder pirates will fight the fodder marines. So, is this a balance? Because we have to ask ourselves that question because we know that the balance of the world is in fact Yonko equals Navy HQ plus Shishibukai. So, doing the matchups, the Emperor would take the fleet admiral, the top 3 Yonko commanders would take the 3 admirals, and the other lesser pirates would face their opponents. At first, this seems like it could work, right? The problem is that this doesn't take into account the Shishibukai. According to Shanks' Vivre card, Shanks was already an emperor back when him and Mihawk would have their legendary duels, as Whitebeard spoke of them. And Mihawk's Vivre card also says he's waiting for the day someone surpasses Shanks and challenges him. This confirms that Mihawk verbatim is an emperor level character. Considering to have these legendary duels with Shanks, he would need to be keeping up with Shanks' speed and strength, and their hockeys must be on an insane level as well. Other strong proponents in the Shishibukai are characters like Doflamingo, who are easily Yonko commander level. So one Yonko crew being equal to the entire Navy plus Shishibukai cannot be the world balance, because even if we lowball the admirals to commander level and we do the matchups, we still have characters like Mihawk, who is an Emperor level pirate, and Doflamingo, who is a Yonko commander level pirate, and others like Boa and Kuma, who would be close to, if not Yonko commander or low Yonko commander level pirates. So one Emperor crew being equal to the Navy and Shishibukai is not the world balance because it can't take into account for an extra Emperor level pirate and other strong Shishibukai, some being Yonko commander levels such as Doflamingo. Now that I've debunked that notion, what is the only other option? Well, looking at the actual statement, Yonko equals Navy HQ plus Shishibukai, it can only be either one Emperor crew or all 4 Emperor crews, considering the actual word Yonko itself means 4 emperors. Let's look into the notion that the admirals are all as strong as the emperors. Do we have a balance? Well, let's try and do the matchups. We have 4 admirals and 4 emperors. We have 12 top commanders and 7 Shishibukai, including Mihawk, who is an emperor level character. This seems like a much better balance to me. The admirals could take on each emperor, and the Shishibukai could take on the top commanders. Then, of course, the lesser navy men would take on the lesser Yonko crewmen. This notion seems to be the closest thing to a balance that I can see. So this means that the Navy plus Shishibukai as an individual unit is much stronger than any one Emperor crew. Do we have any evidence to support this? Well, Doflamingo does say that the Navy are the indisputable rulers of the sea. Also, we saw that Whitebeard, his entire alliance, and more people than he ever knew he would get help from, didn't manage to take down any of the top tiers on the Navy side during the Marineford War. But this isn't to say that if all 4 emperors allied together, the Navy would win. Oda seems to have the Navy set up as best as realistically possible for the worst case scenario, which is all the 4 emperors allying together. So, if this is truly the balance, how does it actually work in story? Well, we have to understand that the world government are okay with the Yonko system in the first place. The Yonko system prevents thousands of pirates from reaching Raftel, finding the One Piece, and exposing the world government. And the 4 emperors themselves seem to be in a stalemate none being able to move forward without confronting another or being able to find the other poneglyphs. So it seems to me that the best thing for the world government to do right now is keep everything they can in balance, which completely coincides with what happens in the story. Whenever emperors of the sea come in contact with each other, the navy gets uncomfortable, which makes sense because that means that there is a chance the world balance could become unstable. Whether emperors ally with each other or start war with each other, either are bad because that means someone could rise into power very quickly and eventually become the pirate king. Let's go over a few scenarios. Well, if all the emperors ally together and decide to try and find One Piece together, then the world government will be forced to go to war with them. At that point, the world government could lose that battle because the Yonko would have the numbers. They easily have more men than the navy, if I'm correct. Another scenario is if an emperor goes to war with another. For instance, let's say Big Mom goes to war with Kaido. So after the war, let's say Kaido wins and him and his army, whoever's left, are gravely injured. Well, that's the perfect opportunity for someone like Blackbeard and his crew to take their poneglyphs and kill off Kaido and his crew, which then puts him much closer to becoming the Pirate King. So whenever emperors meet up, the world government will always be uncomfortable because most outcomes are bad for them. Now let's go over something else. As I said earlier, the world government is okay with the Yonko system, but let's just go over a for instance scenario that shows how dumb of a choice it would be for them to try and start waging wars against emperors. So, considering an emperor has territory, an army, and his crew, the navy bare minimum would need two admirals, vice admirals, let's just say two warlords, and marines. We have seen in recent chapters that attacking an emperor on his territory irrationally can cost you a lot. And we also know from Marineford that attacking territories gives the enemy at home the advantage of defense. So right off the bat, if the navy pulls up to an emperor's territory, they are going to lose a lot of men. Let's say the emperor has an army of 1,500 men, considering Whitebeard had about that much, and the navy brings an army of 1,500 men themselves. Well, invading enemy territory, the navy could easily lose 500 men right there. So let's do the matchups. Remember, this is under the assumption that admirals and emperors are relatively equal in power. You would need at least one admiral, the two warlords, the vice admirals, and the 1,000 men you have left to take on the emperor's army, which consists of 1,500 men and his top pirates/commanders. Then, you could have the other admiral take on the emperor himself. This battle is risky because if the admiral loses his 1v1 with the emperor's side will have a massive advantage in the war, and the world balance is now off considering an admiral was just killed. Or if the one admiral, two warlords, vice admirals, and marines lose their side of the war, the last admiral that is facing off against the emperor would be in checkmate. My point is, it's simply way too risky to go to war with an emperor, especially in their territory. Also, sending any more than two admirals out of HQ is very unwise, because that leaves the Navy HQ and Merijois not properly protected, which means it could be open for attack by an emperor and his crew, or even the Revolutionary Army. Not to mention, if the world government starts waging war against the emperors, even though they don't work together, if push comes to shove and they need to choose between losing everything they have built and accomplished their entire lives, or simply ally together to stand against the world government, I'm sure they would ally together. So I think I've gone over everything pretty much, but the easiest way to understand what the world balance is simply by looking at the direct reference from Oda in his data book. The four emperors equal the Navy HQ plus Shishibukai. Alright, that's it. I hope you guys understand my point of view. Thank you all for watching. Please like the video, comment telling me your opinions, and subscribe for more content. Thanks.